This year, I've stayed in 7 different balcony cabins across 6 Royal Caribbean cruise ships, and they're really not all the same. In fact, my favorite one might surprise you because it's on a ship that a lot of Royal Caribbean superfans don't really love all that much. When you book a balcony cabin, you think you're pretty much getting the same thing across any ship in the fleet, but there really are substantial differences depending on the ship class and how old the ship happens to be. And this fact really opened my eyes because you're going to be paying more for a balcony cabin than an inside room. So I've got my rankings of my balcony cabins I've stayed in and what makes one better than another. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Now, before we start our rankings, I need to automatically get rid of one of them, and that was the Icon Loft Suite on Icon of the Seas that I sailed for spring break. Now, I love this room, I love this balcony, it's a giant one, but it's just totally unfair to have a suite balcony in a ranking with ocean view balconies on here. Now, I love the Icon Loft Suites, and they come with star-class benefits, including the service of the Royal Genie, which makes it an amazing experience, and it costs like $5,000 a night. It's beautiful, it's amazing, but we're not going to count it in our rankings. In fact, this is the only suite I stayed in the entire year, with the exception, of course, of the Surfside Family Suite on Star of the Seas. But do you guys think that's really like a true suite? I mean, Royal Caribbean calls it a suite, but I'm not sure if we should truly consider it one. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you think we should have included it in our rankings. But let's start off with number 1 on my list, and that is Utopia of the Seas. I actually sailed on Utopia twice this year in balcony rooms, and the reason why an ocean view balcony on Utopia of the Seas makes number 1 on my list is because it is the very best Royal Caribbean has to offer. It has a good blend of storage space, modern amenities, it has a great bathroom, and of course, it's just newer, and it's hard to go wrong with a newer cabin. Now, throughout my list, you're not going to find necessarily just an age ranking as being the most important factor, but it's really hard to overlook a brand new ship. I went on Utopia in February for a quick weekend cruise, and then again, more recently, for Royal Caribbean's President's Cruise. In both situations, I booked a standard ocean view balcony, although Utopia does have balconies that face into the boardwalk and Central Park. In addition to the newer aesthetic that you'll find on a new ship like Utopia of the Seas, you'll also find way more outlets to choose from while on board. And this is a really important one, like having power outlets near the bed on both sides really makes a big difference, especially as we compare it to other cabins in this list. The balcony itself is lovely and just enough space for 2 people to enjoy it at any given time of the day. Plus, there are footrests, and this makes a big deal because you don't have to put your feet up on the glass. I'm not saying I've done it before, but I mean, you got to put your feet somewhere, and it's really nice they have footrests here. And then within the room, lots of storage space. They even have built-in hooks right under the TV. This is like capitalizing, I think, on one of the major cruise hacks out there to bring magnets for storage, but I love that they have that here. So I really think Utopia of the Seas, and probably wonder if I'd sailed on it, are pretty much the gold standard for a standard ocean view balcony on Royal Caribbean today. Number 2 on my list was Ovation of the Seas, and this was really close with Utopia because both cabins are fantastic, and I love how much storage space there is, and even the bathrooms are great in both. But I gave Utopia the edge because it's a little bit newer and they have just a little more tweaks in there that make it stand out just a little bit. If there are 2 things Royal Caribbean got absolutely perfect with the Quantum class ships, it's their staterooms and the Windjammer buffet. I don't know, something about these 2 things have really just reached peak level. Great storage, great layout, great aesthetic, and of course, a very roomy balcony. Honestly, the reason why Utopia edged out Ovation is because it has more USB outlets, and it also has, of course, those little hooks by the TV, which are a nice touch. Number 3 on my list is Independence of the Seas, and I sailed on Independence for 2 weeks in the same room, and I actually like the room a lot. For this particular cruise, we booked 2 connecting balcony rooms, and this is a godsend for our family. I have 2 lovely daughters, but I do not want to share a cabin with them, so having 2 different balcony rooms with 2 different bathrooms is an amazing family cruise hack out there. Now, Independence is a much older ship than Utopia, but I find the balconies to be a little bit wider, a little bit deeper, bigger, or whatever you want to call it, compared to even the Utopia or the newer ships within Royal Caribbean's fleet. In addition, since we had connecting rooms, we were able to open up the balcony divider, and I absolutely love doing this, and it's a good reason to also book connecting cabins, because when you can open that divider up, it basically creates a much larger balcony space, and my kids rarely go out there, so my wife and I can enjoy like a super large balcony space. It's just really nice having that. Now, the aesthetics of the room are definitely dated compared to Utopia of the Seas. Royal Caribbean really doesn't update its cabins, even though they do make periodic maintenance on their cruise ships. The first sailing of Independence of the Seas was in 2008, and you're going to notice that decor among that era. I'm not sure how to describe it other than it has that late 90s 80s, early 2000s look to it. It's functional, it works well, and there's actually a surprising amount of storage space on here. It's functional, bathroom's nice, everything's just good enough. But the great thing about this cabin is it just works. Number 4, you might be surprised, is Oasis of the Seas. I recently just sailed on Oasis, and I had a balcony ocean view cabin here. But the thing is, you can definitely tell the difference with the balcony cabin on Oasis compared to certainly Utopia and even Independence. In fact, the reason why Independence is higher than Oasis is because Oasis of the Seas balcony cabin didn't have enough storage space compared to even Independence, which is actually an older ship than Oasis. For me, it's interesting to look at a ship like Oasis, which is 16 years old compared to Utopia, and notice some of the major differences. There's no footstools on the balcony, and even the balcony chairs don't have quite as high back as the ones you'll find on newer ships. We also had a maintenance issue with our Oasis of the Seas cabin in general with the air conditioning, but it proves one of the most important things out there, which is to speak up if you had a problem. After a couple days of mediocre air conditioning, I put my foot down and said, that's it, I'm calling maintenance. And I called maintenance, and they came in and fixed it. And then it was a beloved meat locker temperature in there, which I absolutely love. And so they fixed that there. But minor problem, but they took care of it. And last on my list is going to be my balcony cabin on Enchantment of the Seas. Now, I took my first cruise on Enchantment of the Seas, which is one of Royal Caribbean's oldest cruise ships out there. But the reason why Enchantment comes at the bottom of the list has nothing to do with the balcony, nothing to do with the cabin. It's all about the awful bathroom. And when I say the bathroom, I'm really talking about that shower curtain. I don't care if there's a gallon of fresh caviar, flower petals on my pillow, and Derek Jeter wants to talk baseball with me in this room. The issue is the shower curtain, which is literally a curtain in fabric and sticks to you, as I call it, the friendliest shower curtain at sea. It's just not enjoyable when you go in there, and it's the reason why it's at the bottom. The good news is, I suppose, that the curtain showers are only on Royal Caribbean's oldest cruise ships, the Radiance class and the Vision class. Otherwise, you're going to get the space tube showers, a lot of people call it. Basically, it's a circular plastic tube. On Royal Caribbean's newest ship, the Icon class, my goodness, it's amazing. It's actually a real shower with glass, even on standard rooms. And it's more square shaped. There's even a bench to sit on. I think it's an incredible achievement there. So going back to Enchantment, that was really the worst part about this particular cabin. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that Enchantment being one of the oldest cruise ships in the fleet, well, the aesthetic of being one of the oldest cruise ships in the fleet, you'll notice that in the balcony room as well. Independence was dated, Oasis kind of dated, Enchantment very dated. I don't really get hung up on that too much, but since we're comparing balcony cabins, I feel like it's appropriate to talk about the differences there, and the fact that if you're going on an older cruise ship like Enchantment, this is going to be something that you'll pick up on pretty quickly. So after booking 7 different balcony cabins on 6 Royal Caribbean cruise ships, there are a couple takeaways from this year that I'll definitely recommend for anybody looking to book a balcony for themselves. Number 1 is be realistic about how much time you'll actually spend out there. Now, when we did colder weather cruises, like Enchantment of the Seas in January, or my Independence of the Seas cruises in Europe, it was fabulous having a balcony cabin because we could easily go outside and enjoy being out there. When I say enjoy being out there, I mean and not feel like being on the surface of the sun. When the sun is coming in on that balcony and you're in the Caribbean or you're in the middle of summer, it can get very, very, very hot. Now, some people love that. I'm not one of them. I like to be more comfortable out there, not sweating out there. Of course, there's no pool to enjoy, so, you got to make do with what you got. Anyway, when the weather's great and you're going to spend a lot of time out there, then it's worth it. But if you're down in the casino gambling, like my friend Craig does all the time, or maybe you're up on the pool deck spending most of your time up there, then maybe your balcony isn't really worth it all that much. I mean, if it's really going to be a room that you're going to spend in just simply to go change, shower, and sleep in, I'm not sure it's worth paying necessarily that much more money for it. And that, of course, leads us to price, because ultimately the decision to go to a balcony room comes down to how much more is it compared to an inside room. In every case that I booked these cruises for, the price to go up to a balcony room was not substantially more. There are, however, certain markets where you'll see a huge price difference. Namely, Alaska is one of them, because everybody and their mother says, you gotta do a balcony cabin. And while they're not wrong, it really is nice having a balcony cabin out there. If it's going to cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars more to move up to a balcony, you could make the argument that those hundreds of dollars you're spending on a balcony could be better spent on an awesome shore excursion in Alaska, which is going to be even more impressive than any of the views from your balcony. And lastly, just don't book a guaranteed balcony room. I get it. You want to save money. I do too. When I was on Enchantment of the Seas, I booked a guaranteed balcony room and I got lucky because they gave me a great location for it. But you may not get as lucky with your cabin assignment location. Royal Caribbean uses the guarantee cabins to basically give you the unsold rooms. And oftentimes they're unsold for a really good reason. In my years of covering Royal Caribbean, I think the most consistent reason why people have hated their cabins has been because they picked a guarantee cabin and ended up in a bad location. A room that's underneath the public deck, has a nosy neighbor all the way forward, all the way aft, and basically having too much movement associated with those cabins. Pick your own cabin. It usually is worth the extra cost just to be able to pick your own room. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on getting a balcony cabin, or are you better off with a cheaper interior room? While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know when we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.